All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, a huge match coming up this weekend. You guys will all know Chelsea versus Man United at Stamford Bridge. This is big. And off the back of what Man United did against Spurs, it becomes even more bigger. And off the back of us getting that draw against Brentford, this really does amplify a lot. And because of the situation, and you guys already know Baba from previously, Drog Baba, from previously joining us in the channel. I've also featured in his channel. I thought we had to get a Man United fan for this particular fixture to spice things up. So we'll start from Mohak. Mohak, welcome to the channel, my man. Man United fan, goes by the channel One Man UFC. Do check that out, ladies and gentlemen. The link will be in the description plus in the title as well. So make sure you follow Mohak from One MUFC. Mohak, how you doing, my man?
I'm all great and I'm pretty excited about the game. And thank you so much for having me, man. I was looking forward for an opportunity that some of the international creators will come up to us and have us in their podcast. So it's a great opportunity for me as well.
100%. And you guys are doing some fine work. I don't know why, for both of you guys, not just yourself, Mohak, Baba, and other people, how you guys are not known in an international level, it just baffles me because your content, the content that you guys are actually making are fantastic. But don't worry. Now, hopefully, more of you guys will come to my channel and then more will potentially go to other channels as well. And then the name will slowly begin to grow. Not that you guys are not huge already in India or in the subcontinent, maybe internationally. It's time to take over as well. Baba, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm good. As Mohak said, we just had a conversation regarding the same. So it's been quite an exciting week. Seeing United play so well against Spurs, it really worries me a lot. And it's been like this for since last 5 years. I was telling Mohak that it's been since 2017, since that Morata goal, we haven't beaten you in the league.
Yeah.
So it's high time that we set that record a bit in our favor, because past few games haven't been what we really wanted as Chelsea fans. And to be honest, last few encounters haven't been good football encounters also. Like if you talk about the footballing sense of the term, that United versus Chelsea rivalry has fizzled out in some sense, because earlier, if we talk about the 2000s era, when Jose Mourinho came into Chelsea and Sir Alex Ferguson was already there with that great Manchester United side. So we were the ones who replaced Arsenal in that Arsenal versus Manchester United rivalry.
100%, yeah.
And then we went toe to toe. That me and Mohak always had that discussion. Like people say that Liverpool versus Manchester City is a modern day rivalry. We don't call it a rivalry because out of last five titles, only one has been won by Liverpool. Rest four have been Man City. But when it was Chelsea versus United, it was always give and take. So
it was a good
in 7 seasons, it was 4 times United and 3 times Chelsea. So it tells you that what kind of rivalry it was. So unfortunately, this time it's for top 4 finish, not for the title. Earlier it used to be for the title. So yeah, but since growing up, I have always had this feeling of rivalry and this, I hate losing against Manchester United because of that rivalry. So the first fixture that obviously a Barcelona Real Madrid fan will look into when the calendar is out is the El Clasico. For me, it is always Manchester United. Whenever the fixture calendar is out, I always look, when is the Manchester United game? So yeah, this game is really something that I look forward to during the season. So let's hope it goes our way this time.
Nah, 100%, man. Absolutely well said. In recent times, these matches really have not lived up to the name of Manchester United versus Chelsea or Chelsea versus Manchester United, wherever whether it's away or home. But those, the yesterdays, the historical days, those were some classics back then. But Mohak, let's talk more about the modern times. Let's talk about what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this particular show, we're going to get to know a lot more about the opposition side of things. So that we get an understanding as to what type of beast that we are dealing with in the upcoming weekend. Mark, let's talk about. I don't want to go too far back. Let's talk about from the time Ten Hag took over till up to now so far. Well, how many matches we've played in the Premier League? I think 11 matches so far. I think it might have
Yeah.
been, give or take. What has been your feeling about Ten Hag's appointment initially, and also the progress or maybe lack of progress? I don't know, however you want to look at it, up until now. Has it lived to your expectation, or it's not completely there, but you're not entirely upset either? Give me your perspective about Ten Hag and where the situation's at.
I think not securing Champions League football was a blessing in disguise for United, because have they had secured the Champions League football, it wouldn't have been Ten Hag, as the manager. It would have been Pochettino who would have been appointed by the management. Because,
Mm.
come on, it's a media propaganda that a manager who has previously worked in the league will do much better, and he has
Mm.
that upper hand over the other managers who are coming from a different league with a different perspective, with a different vibe. Because we really don't, we as fans as well, really don't rate an outsider coming to our league and dominating the league, or expecting them to dominate the league. Remember the time when Klopp came from Dortmund? We all said that, come on, he was playing, he was managing in a league that is just dominated by two teams. And then we also
Mm.
how Liverpool progressed as a club, and not just on in footballing terms, but also in developing the overall project around the club.
Yeah.
Recruiting the right players. Same can be said about Pep as well, because Pep, when he was at Barcelona, everyone said that he was being blessed with the presence of Messi, Xavi, and Iniestas and all. Then he went to Bayern Munich. Except for Champions League trophy, he won everything there, if I
Pretty
have to say
much.
the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same has, he has done at City. And City, before he came in, was a different project, and now at the time City is a different project altogether. They are,
Mm.
I think, 10 times ahead of any other club who are playing in the Premier League right now, be it
For
Chelsea,
sure.
United, Liverpool, and any other club. Also,
Mm.
when I talk about a manager should be a coach as well, because the more he'll involve himself in the coaching side of the game, I think the more he'll be having a great relationship with the players. One thing that I like about Ten Hag is that he always emphasizes on his coaching side of the game as well. It's not just
Mm.
about the man management. You look at Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel is a great tactician, but when it comes to man management, he doesn't have that sort of uh, that advantage over other managers, and that is
Yeah.
why there was a report that he had a fallout with Neymar, oh sorry, Mbappe, and then in Chelsea as well, he had a certain fallout with certain players as well. So for a manager, he has to find the right balance, and up till now, I think Ten Hag has done that, except for that one single scenario where he hasn't find the same wavelength with Ronaldo, and I think Ronaldo's story is a
Mm.
bit different. But
Mm.
having said that, when it when we talk about the progress, I think in the last 9 seasons, United's sole problem was that they were going after players who were not willing to play for the club, who were willing to play for the money. Ten Hag has changed this psychology, behind his signings, that we don't have just to sign the players for the sake of signing them. We have to sign players who are willing to give their everything on the field and who fits perfectly in my system. It's not just about bringing big names and not using them to their full potential. You see, his each and every press conference during the transfer market was when was open. He said the same thing. I just want my top priority targets to be at the club, and if we are unable to get those players, I'll not be going after any of the substandard players, because I don't want to waste the money which I can use in other areas to enhance the my quality of my squad. Now you look at each and every signing that Ten Hag has brought in. You talk about Lisandro Martinez. I think he has been top notch. You talk about Ericsson. He has been top notch. You talk about Casemiro, a player who's regarded as not a Ten Hag signing, is actually a Ten Hag signing, and he has settled in pretty well. And I like the way Ten Hag has, made him settle in, not using him
Mm.
initially
Mm.
against the uh, first two, three opponents, and then gradually involving him minute by minute and increasing in his game time minute by minute. So that gives an upper hand for the player as well, because when he gets more and more time on the training pitch, he gets to know more about his teammates, because he comes from a league that is entirely different from the Premier League setup that we call, you know that physical side and not much of a tactical side, but much more of
Hmm.
a basically aggressive side. Because
Hmm.
Spanish league is more of a technical side. So that is why I think Ten Hag's progression in this season has been pretty brilliant. And yes, I would say one thing, that the kind of start that we had, I was very, very worried about his future, because the
Man,
impatientness.
I honestly thought you guys would struggle to get a win. Like the first two matches, and then I think the third one against Liverpool,
Yeah,
you finally got the win.
yeah,
But after
yeah.
the first two matches, both of them were like 4-0 losses, weren't they? 4 nil
2-1
or
against Brighton and 4-0 against Brentford.
there you go. After that, I was like, I don't know how you guys are going to get a win, but eventually, obviously, with that Liverpool, you ended up getting the win. And I think against Spurs, Mohak, that was probably one of that for me. I actually watched the
The
entire
best.
match.
The
That
best.
was probably the best performance under Ten Hag. Great pressing, good passing, but also on the other side, the flip side, probably Spurs. I mean, the caliber of players that they have, for them to play such negative football, deep block, only looking for counters, was a bit strange for me. Baba, let's bring you into this conversation now. Look, obviously Mohak has given us his perspective of Ten Hag and how he's been feeling. He's more thinking about Ten Hag as not just a man manager, tactician, but a coach as well. And looks like it's about patience. It's about being patient, giving it a bit of time, and they'll eventually get that particular brand of football that they're looking for. From your perspective, from a Chelsea fan's perspective, Baba, looking into this upcoming match and these guys coming over and our record not being that great as well, and them having such a great match against Spurs, what are some of the things that are starting to worry for you about this Man United team? Or is there anything for you to worry about at all? Or you're just, I'm confident, bring them on? Or are you thinking, there's few things that these guys are doing which could be a bit tricky for us? What's your thoughts?
I think this is our toughest test yet, to be honest, because obviously we beat Milan convincingly 7-0 on aggregate over the two games. But that was something which there were quite a few factors which actually played into our favor. Like the Milan did not have their full side, and the second game, it was an early red card which really helped us, which was the correct decision, by the way. But as we discussed earlier, that we could do only so much that is in front of us. So we passed that test with flying colors. Now the problem is, if you look at the last two games, we haven't been that great against the teams who presses. Like it was Kepa, because of which we were able to secure 4 points in last two games. If it hadn't been for our goalkeeper, I think we are losing against Aston Villa, because the way they created those chances. And funnily enough, the next game becomes the final nail in Steven Gerrard's managerial job's coffin, and he
Yeah.
gets sacked. Mohak has a wide, broad smile on his face as I say that.
was
So
was Mark? Were you sort of thinking, yeah, this guy's he's not good enough. He will get the sack.
The Scouser factor, the Liverpool and United rivalry.
I think the debate is
Always a
settled.
pleasure to see a Scouser
The
get
debate
sacked.
has been settled now. Who is the better manager, Gerrard or Lampard? I think the debate has been settled now. But yes, coming to Manchester United, I think this team worries me a lot, especially when we don't have Reece James, especially when we have some issues regarding our defense. We are not at full strength. Fofana is out, so it makes us light on defense. And if they start the game like they did against Spurs, the quality that they have, they can hurt us real bad in first 15-20 minutes. Because okay, it's one thing to play Aston Villa, it's one thing to play Brentford were at our throats for the first 20 minutes of that game. We did not have a ball. We were only punting the ball out as far as we could. And later on, when the pressers got a bit tired, okay, the game
It was
went, then we
Kovacic.
came.
I feel like when Kovacic came on, we had a bit more control with Kovacic and Jorginho.
Yes.
Before that,
I
it
think
was crazy.
Kovacic came in the 13th minute, but still for the next 7-8 minutes, even with Kovacic, we were under the pump, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
So this Man United team scares me a bit. But on the other hand, I feel they have a weakness, which is their fullbacks. Uh, Reece James is a huge loss. Reece James, if he was there in this game, would have been a massive bonus for us on that left hand side, because I think Reece James could have dominated that flank. Okay, there is one factor which I think Chelsea fans will say, okay, we had to rest many of our key players because Chilwell was not there, Thiago Silva was not there, Sterling came on as a late substitute, Aubameyang came on as a late
Aubameyang as well.
substitute. Kovacic was not supposed to play that many minutes. So we
Correct.
were giving 5-6 key players rest so that we could play them in this big game. But again, there is a lot to worry about Manchester United if you're a Chelsea fan, because see, the same thing, if we talk about the off-field issues that happened with United just recently, same thing happened with us when we were about to face Liverpool last season, when that Lukaku interview came, and the whole team and the whole band got together. Okay, we the whole world is against us and we have to prove a point, and we are going to play against perhaps the best, one of the best teams in Europe. So you know, kind of performance that we were till date, I'm really proud of that performance. Yes, I'm still very proud as a Chelsea fan for that performance, because we went 2-0 down in that game. And the kind of comeback that we made was really awesome. We could have won that game, but that's a separate topic. So I believe either this whole scenario can work in favor of us by, let's say it kind of disrupts team harmony from Manchester United's point of view. It creates unwanted noises which you don't want, and creates an unrest in the dressing room. Or it can, work in United's favor. Okay, it's us versus the world. We are being, drawn in the wrong, that okay, you are treating one of the greatest players like that, and this, that, and whatnot. N number of people will say N number of things. So what they can do is they can shut all of this noise down by giving a convincing performance against Chelsea at Chelsea's home, by getting a result. And if they get the result, they'll leapfrog us in the table also.
They leapfrog us. Yep.
So by all factors, by all contexts, this game is massive. And I think a draw against Brentford did help United. It helped them to close down the gap to 1 point, which will make them clear of us if they win this game. So I think loss is not an option. Even if we draw this game, I would be pretty satisfied, because now till the World Cup starts, I think we need to gain some momentum. And again, then questions will be asked about is Potter really equipped to play against strong teams, or the teams which press you from the front and create a problem for you, create numbers in the midfield, because United's midfield has been very fluent in the last 2-3 games that I've seen. So there is a lot to worry about, and United have been really good against some quality oppositions. They have faced Spurs, they beat them. They have faced
Liverpool.
They beat them. Liverpool, they've beat. This is our, after Spurs, I think the next top 6 team that we are playing right now is United. We haven't played any top opposition till now.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I think United have that experience. They are coming back from a difficult fixture. They'll be up for it. On the other hand, we haven't had very convincing performances in the last 2 games. We are hit by injuries. So let's see what happens. I'm not being negative by any means. I am pretty confident.
You're just being realistic.
I'm just being realistic that what we need to be careful of United. We cannot go overconfident into this game. Okay, we are facing a team which had a bad start or is at 5th place, a point below us in the league. We can't do that. This United side has some really quality players. And if you see the players who were struggling in the past season, like Rashford, Bruno, they have picked up their game. They are playing as if nothing was wrong with them in the first place. So yeah, these are the things 100%. That we should be worried about.
Mohak, let's get into the final sort of finer details about this particular match. This is Graham Potter's first sort of Big Six opposition, being the manager of Chelsea Football Club. But Graham Potter, I think, in recent times with Brighton has had some love with found some happy times with Man United. I want to ask you, from facing Graham Potter's side in Brighton, and obviously now having watched a little bit of Graham Potter under Chelsea management, what type of sort of game plan in your mind from watching Eric Ten Hag's football as well, as much as you have been watching this season, and knowing your history with us in recent times has been good, and even at Stamford Bridge has been good. Rashford has been very, very good against us in recent times. Obviously, Jadon Sancho scored that goal last season off the back of the mistake. How do you think, in your head, Man United's going to approach this with all those different, components? Graham Potter, Chelsea, Stamford Bridge, the way you guys be. In your mind, where do you think you guys can get a lot of, I suppose, advantage in our team? Where do you think you can get that edge?
I think over the last few seasons, I have watched Brighton a lot because Graham Potter is not a typical English manager. He doesn't believe in those long balls, strategy that those English managers really rely on. He's a modern day English manager, more of a Spanish-esque touch, that he has in his game style, and that is why if there was one team who was able to hurt Man City in their own, style of play, then it was Brighton. And I think
Yeah.
we haven't had a great time against Graham Potter's Brighton. Even when we won against them under Solskjaer, it was a lucky escape for us on majority of the occasions, except for one when we defeated them, 4-1. So
Mm.
the last two fixtures have been 4-0 the last season, and a 2-0 defeat at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And but that one thing that Graham Potter always does against us is that he overloads his byline entries. He always
Mm.
uses those flanks pretty well. And at this point of time, if I have to say, I think the overuse of Dello, might be highlighted against Chelsea because we haven't been able to rotate him. And
Mm.
Kukurea last
And he's
season,
been one of your better players, I think, Dello. I think he's been
yeah,
one of your better players. Yeah.
yeah. But the same Dello was completely exposed by Kukurea last season when we
Mm.
played Brighton, and even this season as well. When I mean, when I think who's that new Brighton wing back? I'm forgetting his name.
Think
Uh,
he's Estupian. I think might have been. Was it
Estupian, yes, yes,
Estupian?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
Estupian. So he completely exposed that sideline of us, and I think dealing with those wing backs of Chelsea is going to be a big threat for us. Also, the role of Casemiro is very, very crucial because if you want to defeat Chelsea, and we'll be playing on counter, that's for sure. Because
Mm.
against Liverpool, that was our approach. Against Arsenal, that was our approach. And Graham Potter likes to play more with the ball. He doesn't like to play on the
Mm.
counter. He likes to play more with the ball. So in that sense, winning those second balls will be very crucial. You can't lose second balls when you're playing on the counter because in that case, you'll be making yourself very vulnerable. Losing
Yeah.
those midfield battle, I think that would be the key against Chelsea because Chelsea at this point of time are not having their best time in terms of
Mm.
having their key players in the midfield. So we can absolutely dominate them. But then again, there's a different side to this game that Aubameyang provides a different kind of a work rate which Lukaku was not providing or what Werner was not providing. So
Mm.
Aubameyang helps in that case as well. And I think when last time when we faced Chelsea, it was a different front line, and now they have a different front line
Yeah.
with a different manager. And as I said to Baba as well in the previous podcast that I had with him, I think
That's
Chelsea
the
now.
case with every season. Next time you'll face Chelsea, you'll have a different front line with a different manager.
It could well be the next time. The next time in this season. In this season.
Yeah,
I think I think Chelsea fans need to be patient with Graham Potter. I think this is the best thing that has happened to Chelsea Football Club in recent time.
Mm.
I never enjoyed. I'll be honest. Even as a rival, I've said this to Baba as well. I never enjoyed Tuchel's tenure at Chelsea because when I used to watch as a neutral, big games of Chelsea, I never enjoyed their performances because it was so boring. He was very pragmatic. He used to rely much on results, and Jose Mourinho was pragmatic, but he had that sort of character. His players had that sort of character. I think Tuchel
Mm.
failed to develop that sort of character within his players.
Yeah.
And somewhere down the line, Graham Potter, as I said, it is very important for a manager to be a coach as well. Graham Potter is that sort of a manager. And you can
Mm.
see the way you dominated Milan. I know that Milan were without their key players, everything. I get it. But Chelsea were playing under a new manager, a manager
Yeah.
that is entirely different, with a different mentality, with a different setup. And just consider the scenario of Aubameyang. He came because of Tuchel. Tuchel
Yeah.
left just after one game, and that so same Aubameyang was performing really well and is performing really well. Kepa, a player who was out of favor, till last season, he has been brought in by Graham Potter, given the confidence, and now Kepa is basically giving it back by delivering
Mm.
such world class performances. And I think it's very important for a manager to have good relationship with the players, because ultimately, even when he's benching them, those players can make a difference when they are coming through the bench. And that is why
Mm.
there's this cultural development that is happening in Chelsea Football Club right now. It was necessary after the departure of Eden Hazard, because you don't have enough players who can win games on their own. And I think Graham
Yeah.
Potter can develop those sort of characters in the team. And I think it's very important.
100%, man. I was saying this the other day that sometimes two teams can be tactically canceling each other out. Both teams are so tactically equipped, they can cancel each other out. That's where you need that one or two individuals that can change the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, it may be so outside of tactics, they're doing something, individual talent that just breaks open. And right now, we had, like, for example, against Aston Villa. Aston Villa probably deserved to beat us. But the special moment from Mason Mount with the free kick, and then that opportunistic sort of moment to clean up on Tyrone Mings's mistake. You need to be able to do those sort of things. Sometimes tactically it may not be enough. Baba, on this particular match, this is how I picture it, and I want to see how you think about it as well. I'm thinking Stamford Bridge. This may not be the time where AC Milan came to us the first match when they were in Stamford Bridge, where we kind of allowed them with Tonali and Benassar. Like, you have the ball. We gave them a false sense of sort of security that you're under control, but really you're not under any control. We then hit them really nicely. And then in the San Siro, we then had more control with Jorginho and Kovacic, and we wanted to take the crowd out of the game. I feel like in this game, looking at Man United, the way they've been playing, and as Mohak said, naturally they're gonna feel you have the ball. You have the ball. We're gonna try and counter you. We have no intention of taking the ball from you at Stamford Bridge. We know we have pace. We know we have players that can find those quick passes, and we're gonna try and exploit you at the back, right? I feel that we may try and create a sense of luring them in. I feel what Graham Potter might do is, yes, we will have the ball, but we're not going to engage you too much. Why don't you come out of your shell a little bit, come into the midfield? I feel like we're going to entice them to press us, and then try and beat their press and hit them at the back. But my issue is, even if we did that, I don't always trust my attackers to finish things off. That's been the issue against Brentford, and that's always been the issue. But luckily enough, under Graham Potter, we've scored a few goals. How do you picture? Like, I just see it in my head, man. This is probably a classic draw. I think defensively, last five matches we've kept a clean sheet. So defensively, we are solid enough. Obviously Kepa has kept us in, but I feel like maybe we can negate them. We can look after them. But offensively, do we have goals in us? I don't know, man. So it seems like a classic draw for me, but I want to hear from you, Baba. How do you picture this match happening in your head?
I expect fireworks, to be honest, in this game. Because it's been time that we've had a feisty Chelsea Manchester United affair, to be honest. So
4-4.
United
Let's
will
make
be
it
a
4-4.
I have predicted a 2-2 draw, an entertaining 2-2 draw, somewhat like what we did when that Ross Barkley scored that last second winner. So that kind
Nice.
of a game I have predicted. What I feel is, earlier when it was Lampard against Solskjaer, or last season also when it was Tuchel first versus Solskjaer, second Renick, both teams had their battles. Chelsea were looking to qualify for the top four and not lose too many points against the team who were below them in the league, and on the other hand United were fighting to be in the European places. So again, not losing points was important. So I think both the teams had their own battles. That's why I think you see that approach. But this time, I think United are in a good space as far as the results and performances are concerned. So they are in a bring it on kind of mode. Like, bring it on. We'll see what the opposition holds. So I think they'll come really hard at us, and they won't fear losing this game, because if Chelsea goes into this game with an approach that it is important not to lose, then we'll be in trouble. We have to cancel them
Yeah.
out. We have to go for a win also. So I'm expecting a feisty affair, to be honest. I don't think it is going to be a cagey game like what we saw against Brentford. Okay, Brentford were okay, created a couple of chances, but Kepa saved those chances. I think it is going to be an end-to-end affair, to be honest. And the thing which concerns me is their midfield is better than our midfield. Let's be honest. Like, their midfield is a bit more settled. They have more quality players. The thing is that our double pivot.
I mean, Baba, the way Fred played against Spurs, who was that? Was that Fred or was that someone else? That was incredible.
Brazilian passport Fred. There are two Freds. There is Manchester United Fred and there is Brazilian Fred. So that was the Brazilian Fred.
He's
Fred is
preparing
never
for the World Cup. He's preparing for the World Cup.
Fred was never a defensive midfielder. In Shakhtar also he used to play quite advanced roles. He used to play that 8-10. That what Gallagher's position. Why did Gallagher struggle in the double six? Because he is wrongly perceived as a defensive midfielder. He was wrongly profiled by Tuchel as a defensive midfielder. His position is playing up top alongside Mount, in place of Mount. So same is the thing with Fred. If you give him the security of Casemiro, and if you tell him that, okay, you have the freedom, you need to go ahead, you need to do your thing and give us that work rate, you come back when we are under the pump, he'll do that. But you cannot expect him to shield your backline on his own. That won't work. That hasn't worked since last two and a half seasons when Solskjaer was in charge. He tried that a lot with McTominay. So it didn't work out for them. So I think now Ten Hag, what he has done is profiled the players very well. He knows what's the right position for every player. He knows Rashford. He does not have the strikers right now, which he wants to play with. Ronaldo situations we have already discussed. Martial is in and out of the team due to injuries. Cavani has moved on. So he was only left with Rashford, who had some sort of experience playing as a... Mason Greenwood is not available because of the obvious reason. So we all know he only had Rashford to rely on, and Rashford, as like what Kepa is doing with Potter, Rashford is doing with Erik Ten Hag. He's repaying the faith that has been shown on to him. So I think this team has a really, really quality front line and a quality midfield. The only thing that we can look to exploit is the fullbacks of Manchester United, which I think we can with our pace, because the kind of chemistry that our front three showing, especially Aubameyang, Sterling, I really love the link up in the last. If you see the last 7-8 minutes of the Brentford game,
should have been a goal from Sterling.
Yes, should have been a goal from Sterling, but see, first of all, you get a player who is not renowned for his finishing, then you get him into Chelsea. So it's a recipe for disaster if you're expecting him to finish chances. But the thing is, the only question that you need to ask is, why wasn't Aubameyang brought on a bit earlier, like in the 70th? We could have won that game very easily, the Brentford game. The moment Aubameyang came on, it was like it was a whole different game. Like the way he was dropping back, he was.
And even Pulisic, Baba, Pulisic had a nice impact as well.
Pulisic had a nice game, yes. But that is what I feel is going to happen in this game. I feel our front line, apart from the finishing, as you said, is really good at linking up. Mason Mount's good form is a huge positive for us. So let's hope that it continues. And in this game, Mount has a habit of delivering in the big games also. So I hope he turns up and he does that, because he has scored against Liverpool in the past. He has scored against Real Madrid. So he
has scored against Man United as well. I think in a FA Cup, maybe.
Yes, I believe in an FA Cup game. Yes. So he has that streak about him. So let's hope players turn up. And same what United have been doing. Like I was discussing this with Mohak a while back, that they were not bad players. Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, these are not bad players. We have seen them, what they are capable of in the past. It's just that they have started taking more responsibility on them. They have started taking more onus on themselves. And same is with Chelsea also. By no means these are bad players. The only thing is, and right now we can't even criticize these players. I mean, one draw doesn't change too much, man. In a good
Mm.
season, you're bound to have some draws. And I was not at all disappointed with the draw, to be honest. Because when I saw the lineup, I was like, okay, we have no option. We have to make these changes. We know how Brentford play at their home, but if we are able to walk away with a draw, I'll be very happy. And I was happy. So that draw does not really, concerns me. What concerns me is the performance against Aston Villa, the game before
Mm.
that draw. Because without Reece James, if we are that vulnerable on the right hand side in every game, then this is
Oof.
a cause for concern. I have been crying out loud for a backup for Reece James since last 2 seasons. That where is a Reece
Mm.
James backup? You cannot play Loftus Cheek on the right hand side always, or you will be light on midfield. Now you see we have problems in the midfield. We are one Kovacic injury away from disaster again in the midfield, or we put too much faith on Chukwuemeka, who I think is a
Mm.
brilliant guy going forward, but I don't know what he can give us defensively. So there are problems. Someone was saying that we can play Chalobah in the midfield. Then who will play your centre back?
We have short in numbers in centre back. So yeah, 100%, 100%. Now, well said.
So I expect fireworks in this game.
I mean, look, man, I don't know if I'm up for basketball game end to end, one side to another. But look, 2-2 would be a very exciting game. Look, I definitely would take a victory. I'm, thinking maybe a 2-1, but I just have this feeling maybe it's going to be a draw, man. I just don't know if we have enough to really put a win over here, but I'm hoping we win. Mahak, let's get your score prediction. But also before the score prediction, how can we not ask this before we let go of you? Obviously, that incident with Cristiano Ronaldo leaving just before full time, not celebrating, not being there for the teammates. But the issue goes back even further than that. It started from summer. He clearly didn't want to stick around at Man United. Being at Europa, he wanted a team that's going to be in Champions League. There was strong rumors about him possibly joining us. Never materialized because at that time Thomas Tuchel didn't want him, and so on and so forth. I think at the end it kind of felt like there wasn't any suitors as well available for him. Not many teams were out there to really go out and take him. But at the same time, it kind of felt like even Man United didn't want to kind of let him go as well because you guys didn't have a out and out striker that was available in the market or you have available in the team. Rashford was a bit of a question mark because of the season that he had previously. I mean, Mark, what's your like? Baba and I, we grew up watching Cristiano Ronaldo. We have a different feeling towards him. Do you know what I mean? Like it's sentimental, probably. We don't always think logically about him. But I want to ask you, being a Man United fan, where's your mindset with Cristiano Ronaldo? And then obviously give us your score prediction as well.
So my connection with Ronaldo started way back in 2005 because I've been following United since that year,
Mm.
05, and I've seen his growth. Post that '06 World Cup. After that controversy, he was on the verge of leaving us. He was on the verge
Mm.
of joining Valencia at that point of time, not Madrid but Valencia, because Valencia were the only club that were capable of getting him on board. And
Mm.
Mendes was pretty interested, and there's this legacy of Ronaldo that is at stake right now because of what has happened in recent times. And
100%.
for the people who haven't seen the connection what Ronaldo has with the club or what Ronaldo has with the fan base, because ultimately it comes down to the connection that a player has with the fan base. Because a player can fall out with the board, but if the fan base is still backing him, I think the player will be confident enough, to stay at the club or to have that sort of sense of belonging. Because it's the fan base who actually decides the atmosphere of the club and the atmosphere on the match days. And you can clearly see that against Spurs, the entire stadium was chanting, Viva Ronaldo, Viva Ronaldo, Viva Ronaldo. What he did was pretty unusual. We never expect that sort of thing from Ronaldo, but eventually he did that, which is bad at his part. I am not going to appreciate what he did. But at the same time, there are, just like your channel, there are other side of the coin as well. You know,
Yes.
you you just can't look at one side of the picture and can decide what he has done, is wrong. I know it's wrong, and eventually a, a club that has suffered enough because of the player power will once again do that under a
Hmm.
new manager. Because previously, when Mourinho was here, Mourinho faced the same, sort of circumstances where Pogba had more power, Rashford had more power, and eventually it was him who was sacked. Now, right now, the club can see that Ten Hag is moving the project in the right direction, and the desperation can be seen on Ronaldo's face, that he wanted to get out of this mess where he doesn't feel like he belongs here. He doesn't belong with, I would say, that sub standard mentality players like Rashford and all. Because now people, I mean us United fans, usually hype our talent. We have, I have seen this in the last 9 years since the day Sir Alex left. Be it Luke Shaw, be it Rashford, be it Martial or any other player. They have 5 good games and the whole entire fan base is like, no, we have found the new Ronaldo, we have found the new Roy Keane, we have found the new David Beckham and this and that. And I think if I have to compare the numbers, Phil Foden has outperformed Rashford in the last 3-4 seasons
Hundred
in the
percent.
lesser game.
100%.
And Rashford, considering the experience that he brings on the table, have played more than 7 seasons already. So I think he needs to deliver now. It's high time he takes the responsibility. You're not a teenager anymore. This is not your breakthrough season. You've played 7 seasons, and in the in the sixth season, United played second final, second consecutive UCL final, and they did the three-peat when Rooney was 23, 24, and Ronaldo was 23, 24. So I have to compare. If the hype is there, then you have to also compare the trajectory of the player since their start, and the trajectory is like this. It goes up and then it goes down. So I don't get it, the hate that Ronaldo is getting, because eventually he's also ambitious. He wants to play, in the best tournament, because what he did last season, any other club, any other time, he would have been playing in the Champions League. But because the other players were not at his level, or the other players were not ambitious enough, you know, to secure Champions League spot, that is why United are in a mess what they are in right now. And we deserve to be, because if a single player is carrying your club, you can't go very far on that basis. The the setback will happen, and eventually it did happen. And then Ronaldo was being portrayed as the villain in this entire saga.
Yeah.
United's owners and the, I would say, the management, the hierarchy of the club, is using him as a uh, you know money making machine. Because
Mm.
wherever Ronaldo goes, he brings that, I would say, sponsorship
Mark
deals, and
marketability, the whole
Yeah,
marketability.
marketability,
marketability. Yeah.
Hmm.
and the social media hype as well. That I'm not saying that, United, in terms of social media, no other club can beat them in Premier League. We are, we are way ahead of that. But that is the only thing, you know that is good at United, and not the footballing side of the, club. So eventually, when Ronaldo came to the club, he saw that the club is still stuck at the same stage when he left way back in 2009. You know, the Carrington facility is still the same. No improvement has been done.
Mm.
The, training facilities haven't been improved. The Old Trafford structure hasn't been improved. So the Glazers, what they are doing is, they are actually trying to portray Ronaldo as the figure who is destroying the project that is in progress under Ten Hag.
Mm. They're
That is
trying
a
to
very
take.
wrong thing.
They're trying to. The owners are trying to deflect their issues onto him, and making
Exactly,
the media focus on him instead.
exactly. And also, I am impressed, with the decision that club has taken, that, suspending him for this game, because no one is, above the manager. I think manager has to be the guy who controls the atmosphere of the dressing room, who controls each and every player in the dressing room, be
Hundred
it Messi,
percent.
be it Ronaldo, and any other, player. And but at the same time, this situation shouldn't have arisen what it has now. It should have
Mm.
it should have been dealt in a much better way at the start of the season, when the rumors were there that he wanted to leave. And I know, I was not in favor of him going to Chelsea because I don't get it why people don't consider Chelsea and United are as a direct rival. Me and Baba had a great conversation regarding that, and I seriously consider Chelsea as one of the most fiercest rival in the Premier League because that was the peak Premier League. Every other year only the two clubs were fighting each other, and I don't get it why people say this that Liverpool and City, is the new rivalry that is being generated. Out of the 5 seasons, City have dominated, and won 4 Premier League titles. That is not a rivalry. Rivalry is something that you push your opponent to the limit and you actually push them down and then win the title. So Ronaldo joining Chelsea would have been a massive letdown for the fan base, for the club itself, and Ronaldo is the icon of our club. He's the last Premier League player to win the Ballon d'Or. He's the fourth player from United to win the Ballon d'Or. So that impacts a lot. And the marketing business that Chelsea would have got when Ronaldo would have been at your club, it would have been massive. And Todd Bowley actually wanted to do that. He never cared about Ronaldo, being the center figure of the project. He wanted Ronaldo
It
as a
was it was a
marketable
business.
person.
It was a
Yeah.
business. Yeah.
So ultimately, the Americans are all about money, be it Todd Bowley, be it the Cronkies,
Mm.
be it the Glazers. Nothing, is different among them. But at the same time, the fan base needs to understand that a player is ambitious, the manager is ambitious, there is a clash of ego. And I think
Mm.
this is what will happen when you don't have a clarity, with the manager and, with the player. And that is why, the club is in a position and the player is in a position that they are in right now.
No, 100% well said, man. I feel the same thing about Cristiano Ronaldo that he's taking away the sense of me being a Chelsea fan and just looking at it from a footballing fan sort of
Hmm.
situation. Ronaldo is not just an icon. Well, wasn't just an icon for Man United, but and also an icon for Real Madrid, but an icon in football. Do you know what I mean? He'll go down as one of the greatest to have ever played this game, let alone played for United or Real Madrid. And to see him go through the kind of stuff he's going through now, I can imagine. He probably felt in that game against Spurs, wow, this team is probably doing well without me. Like, what is my value in this team? And then he walked off. It's not right. 100% not right. But I think we as human beings also need to understand why he's done that. And that just didn't happen specifically on that match. It has happened on the basis of so many different other events that has taken place leading up to that match that led him to eventually leave. So now, well said. Mahak, final thoughts on the score prediction. What do you think?
I predicted that scoreline on Baba's stream as well, and I'll go with the same scoreline 2-2 because I think it will be an end-to-end game, and I want it to uh, go to that nail-biting sort of a finish or moment that we have missed for a long time in a Chelsea United match.
Mm.
I have want this rivalry to to rise up once again because people have forgotten about how great of a rivalry this was at once,
And
and this is not a fake rivalry, I would say. A fake rivalry like I call it. During those period, I'll just take one odd minute here.
mm-hmm.
When United and Chelsea were used to face each other, there was this aggression. We don't like to lose against each other. At the same time, the managers never saw an eye to eye against each other. Now Chelsea and now at this current scenario, when I see Liverpool and Man City going toe to toe with each other, post game it's people are giving hugs, people are celebrating this and that. I don't get it, man. I don't really get it. How can a rival and can be this friendly? It doesn't give me that vibe of a rivalry. So because I'm an old school football fan, I grew up watching that sort of a game where Wenger used to fight against Mourinho in a London derby, when Sir Alex used to
Mm.
you know I mean used to fear a lot when he used to travel to Stamford Bridge and used to make it
Yeah.
difficult when Chelsea used to come to Old Trafford. I haven't seen that in a long while, and I think that needs to happen on a regular basis from now on.
100%, man. That really needs to get alive again and re-energize again. You're right, man. Pep and Klopp, when they get together, it's like a love affair, man. Enough of that, man. None of this love
Exactly.
affair, man. Enough of that. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this. We'll wrap things up over here. As I said, we get to know a little bit more from a Manchester United side of things. You shall see a preview from me later on after this has been obviously published, probably a few hours after that. Later on in UK evening, you'll see a preview from me where I'll talk about my predicted lineup and so on and so forth. Please make sure subscribe to One MUFC. It's in the link and also in the title. Also, Drog Baba. Please make sure you subscribe to their channels. Two fantastic channels, man, and you're not going to be disappointed one bit. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Hit the bell notification as well. And we shall all see you guys very, very soon. See ya.
Hi guys, take care.
Bye-bye, guys.